Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to round 5 of the RaceFace GT3 Sprint Series Season 11 right here at Hungaroring. Going to be a very interesting one for this, and with the GT3 Sprint Series getting closer and closer to its penultimate round, we're in for a lot of fun. Remember, this is going to be a combined multi-skill class racing where you've got our pros, our proams, and our golds all together ready to have a bit of fun out on the circuit this evening. It's going to be a proper challenging run for all our drivers to figure out what's going to be the most beneficial to them, what's going to work in the long run, and who's going to be able to score the win at the end. And I got to say, looking forward to seeing what the drivers will be able to do here at Hungaroring. Turn 1, the hairpin, is going to be a very difficult corner, but cold tires. Turn 3 is where it gets a little bit interesting because you're actually going downhill and can really get yourself sideways, landed up with a problem through the kink. Blind man, also a very difficult corner, a short kink left-hander that you got to try and get yourself around. The S's, great opportunity to go and get past your fellow driver, the Superman complex. Unfortunately, right towards the end, that sector 3 does turn into a bit of a difficult one for all the drivers to ensure that they get past one another. You can either take the gamble, dive on the inside and get round, or shut the door, kill your drive, and also land up with a problem. So many things can happen tonight, and especially with all on the line for our drivers, this is going to be it. This is going to be trying to figure out what's going to work for them right here at Hungaroring. Myself, you're joining myself, Stephen Koenig, out in the box this evening at RaceFace.Pro. Good to have you guys here. A couple of people jumping into the grandstands to come and watch the amazing racing tonight. But we're going to be heading down to the circuit, and well, Tim's giving me a bit of reports here that he is wearing a raincoat at the moment, which will be our first race in the rain this entire season. So let's head down to quali and check if that's right. And yes, it is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. As you can see, the track is wet. We're expecting a monsoon in the next 10 minutes with a bit of cloud cover. It is rainy out there. Windscreen wipers, lights on, rain lights on. This is going to change the ball game a little bit for our drivers. This is going to change the ball game of the race. And a lot of the drivers who were expecting to race in the rain are going to be happy. Others who have set their cars up for the dry will run into problems, but there is that hybrid weather that can come into play. It gets into a bit of a greasy outlook. Let's take a look who's out on the circuit this evening. We have got Bernard Barkhuizen, Jean-Ray Buerta, Darren Miller, Kieran Patterson, Jaco Hutzer, Eric Kirstein, Paul the Pinky Toe Fenter, Daniel the Hitman de Villiers, Graham Mole in 9th position at the moment, Gavin Scruton, Alan Patterson, a new name joining in, and that is Paolo Teles. Good to see him out there. Mario Circle, along with Jean Leroux, Reginald Mutaleni, Bego Krobler, Josh Herbst, Rob van der Hever, Altman Buerta, Hansi Myberg, Corne Strauss, a name that I remember right back in the early days in a Carl Army 9 hour that we did, and also for the likes of iRacing. So good to see Corne Strauss back out there. Tinian Kubek, Grant Sebastian, Cabello Matsumai, and Conrad Fulsking rounding out our field this evening for the GT3 Sprint Series, brought to you by RaceFace.Pro. Round 5, and now we're in wet weather, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you have got your umbrella, because Tim has got his. I forgot mine because I thought it was going to be some sunny weather. And hopefully these drivers have packed their wet tires, and you can see it's already coming to effect, guys. Trying to get past, looking to get a bit of heat into the tires. Oh, Paul going into the back of one of the Ferraris, and that is just trying to stand on the brakes a little bit late. And a couple of cars just getting turned around. But a couple of cars getting their first laps out of the box. And this is going to be a monumental drive for every single one of our competitors this evening. Gotta say, not going to be an easy one at all. So, couple of things, bit of coming into a little bit of house fun. We do have live timing up in the description. Feel free to click on it and keep track of your fellow drivers, your favorite cars, your favorite drivers, and your favorite teams as they go and duke it out this evening in a 55-minute sprint race. One mandatory pit stop is going to be required, and that is going to be a one stop for everyone to try and work out. That being said, while there's a little bit of time, I'm personally going to say something that is completely off the script of things. Anyone remember Johan van der Merwe? And if you say yes, you remember Johan van der Merwe from the previous season racing in a McLaren, well, I want to see everyone in the chat now watching it live and people that are watching it in the future just to go and give a warm congratulations, a well done to Johan van der Merwe, who has tied the knot with his missus and is officially gotten married this past couple of days. So this past weekend he has gotten married, and like I say, a warm congratulations from the RaceFace.Pro side and also from my side and everyone else, our spectators, teams and drivers, saying congratulations to Mr. van der Merwe for finally tying the knot. Cheers, buddy. Well done. Not an easy thing to do. Big commitment there. And, well, he's even going and racing still, so talk about commitment on the wife's part on dealing with it. Tiana's Porter jumping into the chat saying, how's it? He is watching a little bit at the moment and says it is wet, wet, wet out there, and I have to agree. But Daniel the Hitman de Villiers currently putting in the fastest lap time. The Porsche in its heyday and that 991 configuration was a beast in the wet weather, and let's see if he'll be able to keep it all going. Bego Krubler in the Aston Martin. Now, we can't take away the Aston Martin's advantage in the wet. Back in the early builds, was one of the strongest cars you could take into wet weather racing. That will put itself out to the top. Alan Patterson is going to also put himself into third place at the moment, as he's going and powering that Lamborghini, and actually for the very few times is ahead of Kieran Patterson. So Kieran Patterson not getting the same drive as Alan, but it's good to see Alan out there. And the PWSR team, I do want to go and say congratulations. There was a couple of drivers that went out and they were going to do a 24-hour endurance race for... I forgot the name of it, and I do humbly apologize. It is a charity event. But we did have a couple of South African cars out there. PWSR was one of them. I think Eleanor was another one. So there was quite a few cars there. Tennis Bertz is saying, we lost another soldier. Having a beer on you, young one. No, I don't think we've lost anyone. I think we may actually just go and see a different name. We'll see another van der Merwe out on our grids. And this time, we got to always make space for the ladies. You know, you've got to be gentlemen, chivalry. Open the door, let them go. Ladies first, sort of thing. Dennis, you've got to think about this. Ladies first. So Daniel de Villiers out in front. Kieran Patterson into second place. Bego Krobler putting himself into third, trying to get himself going. Alan Patterson trying to also get himself going. Daniel de Villiers getting ahead of Bernard Barkhuis in the BMW M4 GT3. Going to be a very formidable car around the circuit, especially in the wet, but do not count out the big Mercedes GT3 Evos that is being driven by Cabela Matsmai, and for the likes of Paul. He's hoping to get a little bit more of a run, so Paul Fenter will be hoping to also get himself out there, but it does look like he's actually fallen out. Something's gone on for him. Grant Sebastian out on the circuit as well. He is in one of the big Mercedes, so Grant Sebastian hoping to power his way through. Jaco Kotze currently in 7th place. 8th is Eric Kirstein. We've seen that Ferrari twist around more than enough times. Jean-Ray Buerta, Jean Leroux, Darren Miller, Reginald Mittelani, Corne Strauss, Tinian Kube, Rob van der Heerve, Altman Buerta, Mario Circle, along with Graham Moll, Paul Fenter. He's actually still in his 19th position at the moment. Then you got Gavin Skirton along with Paolo Tellis, Joss Herbs, Hyansi Myberg trying to keep himself going. Cabela Matsmai and Conrad Falsking You will hear that there's a voice missing this evening, and a voice that many people have been highly anticipating. A voice that people have been praising, actually, going and saying that they really enjoy hearing him for the amount of action, and also managing to hold it together. He's watching for his team at the moment, especially Daniel de Villiers, who's currently out there, and that is Cameron de Bastos. Now, we always say that he is Mr. Tabasco sauce himself, or Sasquatch, but at the moment, he's doing a bit of work, he's doing a bit of studying, and I'm going to re-nickname Cameron de Bastos because I'm going to call him Prof, as he's getting some work done in coding. So good luck, Prof, and look forward to having you back sometime to chat away and give us some insight to the racing, especially in the wet. But commitment to actually watching the team out on the live stream. Really good to see. Alan Patterson, though, putting in a good lap time, puts himself into 5th position, trying to carry the momentum through. Very difficult conditions, especially to get nice and close to drivers, as you got that rooster tail coming up. And when we talk about rooster tails, we talk about the water that's being taken in, well, gets put underneath the tires, goes into the little tracks that the tires have, the little grooves, throws up, and it just creates this rooster tail. You can see that spray off the back. And if you have driven in traffic, is Alan just catching the curb, and there is no grip on that curb, and especially no grip can be put down on a very wet circuit. But if you're driving traffic, I'm sure we've all had it before, where you get close to a truck or you get close to another car and you just have that spray that just covers the whole entire front of the car, and you're busy trying to figure out where to go and what's happening. Well, that's what our drivers are going to be having to do. It takes away the ability to get into that slipstream. You got to give yourself a little bit of spacing just to ensure that you can brake a little bit earlier in case of anything. Remember, your braking completely changes in the wet. So, Kieran Patterson currently up 0.9 on his last lap time. Does put himself into 1st place, beating out Daniel de Villiers. Jean Leroux, though, puts himself into 3rd place. Good to see Mr. Leroux of KSR Hex trying to get himself out to the top. Bago Krobler still carving his way around. Bernard Barkhuizen will be coming across the line. Don't think he's done enough this time to move himself up, so he's going to give it another shot. Running out of time, though, 4 minutes and 57 seconds. Paul Fenter sliding the big Merc around, trying to find that ideal line where it's all going to grip up, pushing as hard as he can. And Alan Patterson coming out of the pits, just allowing the drivers to get round, not wanting to interfere with one of our McLarens. And that's one of the Team Tryhard McLarens that have gone past him. But good to see him out there having a great bit of fun. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me know what you think with a wet race. This is going to change things up. Which car will have the advantage? Will it be the Porsches? Mid-engine 991, very fantastic little car in the dry or in the wet. Originally, the 992, though, meant to be the better version, will be powering his way through. Will it be the Aston Martin front engine machine, very heavy on the nose, that can be able to get itself around and has a good win record in the wet? Will it be the mighty Mercedes that will be able to get a little bit more of a run? And it's going to be a proper little fight between them. Tianas Buerta saying go hybrid and team trial boys. Good to see there. And unfortunately, not too great on Afrikaans, and I think I may get that completely wrong. So, yep, Tianas Buerta going and putting in some support. But we cannot take away from the other drivers that are out there going and fighting. Our Team Kerygma Racing coming into the fight. We've also got Grant Sebastian. He is running a little bit solo at the moment, along with Kabela Matsumai of Kabelion Motorsport AMG, getting ahead of one of our team trials. I think that is Hansi Myberg. They got ahead, VSR. We've also got PWSR out on the circuit, going and having a bit of fun. Conquest Racing, Reginald of Noob Nation Dark End, going and fighting his way through. I actually asked him about that, the Dark End. I said, why did you do that? Why did you change name to that? And he said, well, very simple. Load shedding has been a pain in the backside of late, especially to him. And I wanted to go and say, welcome to the dark side. We've got cookies. That was pre-baked before the lights went out. So, he's hoping that the lights won't go out this evening on him and will be able to fight it out. Daniel de Villiers just keeping ahead of Kieran Patterson, so PWSR is first and second, but take a look at the difference between them, 0.065, very, very close. Grant Sebastian also not too far behind, 0.220, with LaRue also hanging in the mix there, Bego Krobler and Bernard Barkhuizen. From first to sixth, we are dealing with drivers that are under a second of one another. That 151.652 being the fastest lap time and will be the time for everyone to go for this evening as they fight their way through. And let's see how it is going to work out. Paul Fenter of Logistical Nightmare Racing trying to push a little bit harder, get a bit more pace underneath him. That rear just not biting as much as you want. Can't get as much grip out of it. And the tires are going to be absolutely chilly out there. So maximizing brake temperature and heat into the core of those tires is going to be absolutely crucial, especially come the start of the race. So Darren Miller getting past. He's getting past his teammate and saying, right, my turn to get a bit of pace underneath me. Let's see what I can do to try and give it a little bit of chase. Grant Sebastian gets himself back into the pits. He is called it quits from there with only 55 minutes to go. Drivers not wanting to wear themselves out just as yet. They want to focus on the chances of moving themselves forward. Remember, 55 minutes in these conditions, you're constantly focusing on your braking markers, you're constantly focusing on grip, and just in a general race. Now you're going to be concentrating on the rain that's coming down. Where is that ideal race line? And also how close you can actually approach cars. If you're going to make a pass, you have to be fully committed to go for it. There's no second guessing. There's no chancing it. There's no, well, I think I'm going to look at it maybe. You've got to commit to the pass, or you got to hang it out, as Bernard Barkhuizen's trying to do. Bernard's been on a fantastic run this past season and launching his way up to the top. This time though, it seems like the wet not playing into his favor, so enjoying the dry versus the wet. Kabila Matsumai puts himself into 10th place. Alan Patterson trying to get a little bit more drive at the moment. Daniel de Villiers leading out the field with Kieran Patterson in second, Grant Sebastian in third, LaRue currently in fourth trying to improve his lap time. Darren Miller though, don't count him out, is currently 0.7 up on his last lap time. Bernard Barkhuizen 0.8 up on his last lap time. Eric Kirstein is up on his last lap time. So Daniel de Villiers putting in a 51.4. Bego Krobler is up on his last lap time as well. Paul Fenter out of nowhere though does pull a rabbit out of the hat and puts himself into second place. So he will be starting on the outside, which is not ideal, but will be a front row, which is his first this season to be starting in the front row in both the GT3 Sprint Series and also this normal Sprint Series that we have out on a Thursday. But as I said, ladies and gentlemen, who are you supporting and what car do you think will have the advantage? A 296 Ferrari like we see on the circuit at the moment? Will it be the Porsches, the Mercs, the Lamborghinis, or more? And there is going to be a proper run. Cameron Bastos saying you don't want to you also don't want to chance it in the McLaren out in the rain. I do think the McLaren is actually worth having in the rain. Hear me out on this one. The McLaren naturally deals with a fair amount of oversteer in the dry. Understeer, apologies. Deals with a lot of understeer. The rain allows you for a little bit more rotation. You can push a bit harder. Kieran Patterson does show that it is starting to get a little bit rough on him, and he will be keeping that in mind. So how it's going to work out, well, we're going to have to find out with our drivers coming up shortly. I would like to just go and say a big thank you to Tim and Jim for all the hard work they're doing. The Jim will be calling the lights, and Tim doing our cameraman, being our cameraman this evening. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope you are ready as we go down to the grid. Let's go through who is where at the moment, and that is going to be first place Bernard Barkhuizen, followed by Daniel de Villiers out in second place. So Paul Fenter not able to get it, getting beaten out by Daniel de Villiers right at the end. Paul Fenter will be in 3rd place, so that 2nd place just eluded him by so close. Kieran Patterson out to 4th, Grant Sebastian in 5th, Darren Miller in 6th, 7th is Jean Leroux along with Eric Hustain, Bego Krobler, Jean-Ray Buerta, Cabello Matsamai in 11th place, 12th Alan Patterson, Corne Strauss, Jaco Kutzer, Gavin Scruton, Tinian Kube along with Reginald Mutuleni, Graham Moll, Rob van der Heever, Altman Buerta, Hansi Myberg, Josh Herbst, Mario Circle along with Paolo Tiers and Conrad Volskink rounding out the field. I remember Conrad actually came, originally was with Hawks Racing at one point, and he did rather well in the wet. But, I do want to point out, it's not wet anymore. It's cloudy. So, whatever your setup was for qualifying, well, best throw it out because it's all changed. Dry weather and a whole lot of trying to figure out what just happened. Whatever your planning is just you're going for, well, that's out the door. And I know Cameron Bastos is currently looking at this and going, well, in my professional opinion, this has just shaken everything up. This has got everyone scratching their heads trying to figure out, what's going to be the right idea here? Who's going to be able to take the line and who's going to be able to move themselves forward? I have to say, personally, this has changed the ball game a little bit for me and leaves me wondering who's going to be able to claw their way to the top. Not going to be an easy one. We do know that the drivers are going to have to work incredibly hard, and what's going to come out from it, well, we will see as they make their way around. Bernard Barques leading out the field with Daniel de Villiers lying in 2nd place. Remember, Daniel needs some crucial wins underneath his belt, not only for the championship, but for his own mentality at the moment. Green lights though, Jim calling green, and away they go. Bernard off to a great start. Daniel trying to come back. Kieran Patterson looking to just follow Daniel all the way through. Will look to go centre line. Paul Fenter, though, trying to go a little bit late on the brakes, putting the big nose in on the inside of 2nd place. Gets a little bit out of shape. Comes off the circuit. The field passing him. He had a slight contact with Daniel de Villiers, but nothing too bad there. But Grant Sebastian, on the other hand, going defensive, holding back Jean Leroux, who has Darren Miller go up on the inside. Contact between the two. Cascading effect down through the field, and you can see just hanging on the brakes. Leroux will be going and trying to get himself going after that. That's just going switched up the race. Daniel de Villiers getting Kieran Patterson right onto the back of him. Kieran will be talking him through, saying, right, we need to look at this, and we need to look at it strategically of how we're going to catch up to Bernard Barques. Knows the threat at this point, and Kieran's hoping to get that 1st place. He wants to carry as many points into the championship. Grant Sebastian taking a little bit too much curb there, and that is going to give him a drive, or give him a warning. Cabello Matsamai, once again, also doing the same thing as Alan Patterson went on the defensive. Cabello will be getting a warning, and Jean-Ray Buerta tried coming back at him. The tail's starting to snap out underneath him. Not enjoying that. We do have a spinner at the back, and that is Paolo, who landed up falling off the circuit, so he needs to get himself out and going once again. Cabello Matsamai looking up on the inside of Alan Patterson. Had to go and climb on the anchors as hard as he can to try and get past. Change up in the front though. Kieran Patterson getting past Daniel de Villiers at the moment. Will be focusing on his charge to the front and hoping that it is going to be enough to start breaking away. Daniel de Villiers is going to start using the toe. I think there's a bit of communication coming from them as they complete their 1st lap. Cabello Matsamai now battling it out. Has Jean-Ray Buerta right behind him. The Porsche going off to the back of the Mercedes. And remember, they've got a very hybrid setup at the moment, trying to work out with the rain a little bit earlier, but now it is into the dry, and that's going to change things out. Corne Strauss also late on the brakes, right behind Paul Fenter. He's able to get past, well, just narrowly miss Reginald, also doing a great drive as Eric Hustain is dealing with Jaco Kutzer, trying to go around the outside of McLaren, not able to get it all stuck. Tinian Kube does look to the inside. That Lamborghini is properly hunting the back of Kutzer. Kutzer is going to try and keep the McLaren all going over the curbs, gets a little bit unsteady on the throttle, bouncing around, and that is going to allow Kube to come back at him. Late on the brakes, try and just get that nose tipped in to the corner, and you can see Kube really pushing as hard as he can to try and figure out how can he get past. Back up to Paul Fenter though, he's dealing with Corne Strauss right onto the back of him. Eric Hustain and Reginald side by side. Kirstein taking a lot of curbs, so does Reginald. Those two are going to both be getting a bit of a warning, and that has allowed Jaco Kutzer to get right onto the back of Reginald. So Jaco is going to try and get on the power, goes and slides out the rear. That's Tinny and Kuba now coming back at him, flashing his lights, saying, listen buddy, let's work together here, let's concentrate on what we need to do to get past. Battle for 6th and 7th place is going down between Alan Patterson and Cabello Matamai. Cabello trying to go around the outside, couldn't do it, trying to go for the cutback. Alan stopping dead on the apex. Cabello hustling him along, saying, listen, we got to get going. We're losing track of Bago Krobler here. And you can see the little bit of scuff marks on the side of the car. Tells the story of the start of the race, having to go door to door with our competitors as he tries to get a little bit more drive. Paul Fenter going side by side with Corne Strauss, tried looking to get past him, just never had the straight line pace. That Mercedes, there is no replacement for displacement, and don't care what you say. Yes, it is a turbocharged V6 that's in the car. Is it a V6? Yes, I think it is a V6 in the 296 Ferrari, but you can't get away from a V8. Let's be honest. It also sounds a million times better. Alan Patterson dropping behind Cabello Matamai. Bago Krobler is now going to be keeping an eye on his relative. And John Ray Buerta going and getting a bit of a drive. So well done to Alan Patterson and Cabello Matamai. Let's see if we can go back roughly 30 seconds and what happened. Big dive down, turn 1, runs out Alan right to the fringes of the circuit. So Cabello going and making a proper pass to get past Alan Patterson. But that being said, I am getting reports from Tim that there is a bit of a problem out on circuit, and that is Paul Fenter. So Paul Fenter dropped down the order a little bit and has landed himself in the pits. So I wonder if he's trying to get that early pit stop. We're just waiting for our replays to finish up. And let's go back 30 seconds. Yep, trying to get himself sorted. Darts off the circuit though. Something went on with his drive and has now decided that car is in dire need of work, getting it sorted out back into the pit. So a little bit of a toe back, unfortunately, for Paul Fenter. That does take him out of the running. And after a great qualifying, not quite what you want to have. But obviously something mechanically gone catastrophically wrong with the Pinky Toe Fenter. Grant Sebastian trying to keep Bago Krobler at bay. Bago trying to get right up against the rear spoiler of that Mercedes in front of him. Now the Aston Martin a little bit easier on the brakes. Tries to go up on the inside. Couldn't get it all sorted out just as yet. I see Daniel De Villiers has also pulled into the box. So a couple of drivers getting themselves sorted out as they make their way through. Graham Mole and Darren Miller very close to one another, and to Rob van der Heever just ahead of them. So Rob also pushing as hard as he can to try and break away from this little battle of Miller and Graham Mole right behind him. But a couple of pit stops happening right now. Gavin Scruton going and parking in the pits. Also Hansi Myberg with a very, very early pit stop. Conrad Volsking, and it does look like Paul Pinky Toe Fenter has also retired that car, so he will be out of the race. Alan Patterson getting away from John Ray Buerta and Corne Strauss that are going to be going side by side through the kinks, trying to keep it all together, and Buerta just doing everything he can to get a little bit more drive underneath him. Couldn't get past that 296 Ferrari and will be battling it out. Graham Mole getting ahead of Miller and Van der Heever, trying to come back at him. So let's actually take a look at what Mole's maneuver was that went and jumped him so far up. So this is off the roll bar cam in the passenger side of the Porsche 992 GT3R. Looks up on the inside, couldn't make it all sorted. Going to carry it in second gear. Sees that Jaco has actually spun out. And also it looks like Rob getting a bit of a tank slapper. So that is going to allow the 992 Porsche to look up on the inside. Runs over the curb a little bit. Does slam the door shut as he gets the drive out. Absolutely tremendous, tremendous stuff as they make their way around the track. Great, great battling between them. And that is all she wrote for the time being. But Miller is going to keep the pressure on. They're one of our closest battles on the circuit at the moment, with Mario also in a race of his own with Jaco Kutzer, who had an earlier spin out trying to make his way around the circuit, hoping to get a little bit more pace underneath him this time round. Cabello Matamai right onto the back of Grant Sebastian, who's just fighting it out. So this is 4th and 5th at one another, but going through the field very, very quickly. Bernard Barkhuizen leading out the field with Kieran Patterson in second. Bago Krobler currently in third. Grant Sebastian with Cabello Matamai up on the inside, trying to get past. Cabello going to run him out to the fringes once again. And Grant Sebastian losing out that drive. Both in the same machinery. Depends on the setup now. You can't go and change it. So this is going to be a proper run as they fight their way through. And it is going to be a very, very interesting one. And I'm just taking a look. Daniel Hitman de Villiers, who is currently in the grandstands. And, oh man, and he's actually he's no more in the grandstands, snuck in. You Pink Panthered your way into the pits and into the box, and you've just given me the biggest heart attack of my life. So thanks, mate. Appreciate it. What on earth happened? Why are you here? No, oh man. Oh, my heart goes out to you, and Jingos. Oh, as we see Corner Strauss, he's actually getting a little bit out of shape. And he is going to come across with Reginald and the likes of Tinny and Kube. Sorry to cut you off there, but these two are fighting out. Two very good friends will be pushing each other right the way through. But Daniel, yes, you've run into the technical difficulties. I'm sure the pit crew are going to be looking at what's happening going on, and let's actually bring you up. See, guys couldn't hear you. So, for anyone that's missed out, do apologize. I've been sorting out the virtual board's been a little bit interesting to deal with. There's Reginald who got into the wall there, and we do have currently in the box Daniel the Hitman de Villiers. And Daniel, for the guys that didn't get to hear, explain to us what happened. You are out on the circuit, you're really pushing as hard as you can, and then all of a sudden
Reginald,
it all went wrong.
Took a slide there. Reginald took a slide there, wasn't it?
Yeah, took a slight slide, and then unfortunately slight contact between himself and one of the other cars, and that pretty much turned his race upside down. Darren Miller has moved his way up along with Graham Mole. They're going to be happy, as it does look like Jean Leroux and Eric Hustain have come to blows. And let's go back about 30 seconds on that as well, as we see Leroux behind Hustain. That little kink getting a little bit unstable. Those hybrid setups starting to show a bit, having to deal with the dry. Oh, Hustain trying to pressurize him. No space for the two. A bit of a twist round, and Miller going and saying, well, thank you. I'm going to thread the needle here, but that's not going to be the most comfortable. Oh, and yeah, once a little bit of contact there, as it does look like Hustain got on the throttle, couldn't swing the car around. And we do know that GT3s have a turning circle of a tank, but I think Hustain a little bit irritated with the turnaround. I do think, unfortunately, no space for the cars, and that happens. One person that's been having fun is Altman Buerta in the Bentley. Gotta say, love the Bentley. Good to see it out there, and having a bit of fun. But Daniel, as I was saying, what happened? What happened out there? For people that didn't get to hear it, I know you're communicating to the grandstands, you're using smoke signals at the moment. I know Paul Fenter is very used to smoke signals, considering he stuck wet tires on, and Mario into the wall. 992 going and saying cheers at that point. But Paul going and having fun.
There, Stephen, yeah, so I got, I think on turn 2, then I see the pedals just didn't go full throttle and my foot is flat on the floor. And then yeah, it happened like that on practice just early before the quali, so I think there's a little driver issue there maybe, because I see there is an update for the drivers as well.
Oh man, that's just, it's heartbreaking to hear. I mean, things like that, technical issues, and especially for like a pedal box, essentially to, I compare our sim rigs to real cars, and that would be a pedal box issue. Now, I know it's gutting, but I am going to ask the very real question out to this, and that goes: qualifying in the wet, race in the dry, setups being changed on the fly. As a driver, that is just worst case scenario, it's good to see a change of weather, but at the same time, not quite what you want to be seeing right on race day.
Well, Steven, you have to be prepared for anything. So those that are not prepared, you must be prepared, man.
And take us through. I mean, when you got to see that the rain was coming down in qualifying, what was going through the PWSR box of, now it's suddenly all wet and it was looking towards a monsoon at a point.
Well, we did predict it's going to be a mixed condition, so it's going to be dry and then fit for wet in midway and so on. And oh my goodness, and then
Contact between
Bago
Bago and Cabello, but Grant Sebastian will be rubbing his hands together on this one as he comes right up behind Cabello Matsumai. But yeah, sorry to cut in there as we're having some serious action heating up on the circuit.
Yes, as it should always be, serious action. But yeah, we were predicting a mixed conditions, wet and dry at the same time, and then it just started completely dry, and we predicted the weather 30 minutes in, it will not rain, so we think it's going to be a dry race completely. So we have our pit stop setups maybe for wet, just in case.
All right, and with these hybrid type setups, because you haven't quite set the car up to 100% dry and not 100% wet, we've been seeing a lot of drivers having the rear snap out underneath them. Take us through what actually happens with these more hybrid setups, because you do run the car a little bit higher in the wet, you do run the suspension a little bit softer to try and move it around. You don't want something too stiff, and you don't want to have a car that's going to be unpredictable. But now you're in the dry where you want it as low as possible. You want a very stiff car. You want something that's very pointy that can really get the drive out. I mean, how does that impact the race? Especially, you've got that one mandatory pit stop. It's a 55-minute race, and Hungaroring is not an easy circuit, full stop, to deal with.
Yeah, Stephen, it's each to their own for setup purposes. To combine your wet and dry setups. What I normally do, I have a wet and I have a dry separate setup. But what I did previously, I lowered the dry setup, so I kept the car low as possible still, and I just put on dry tires and play with the driver's aids.
Okay, so just try and use what's at hand to push you through. Oh, is Cabello going and braking really hard, closing up underneath the Aston Martin. So utilizing the driver assist, your ABS, your traction control 1, which is your gain, which is the forward and back motion of the car, and then you've got your slip, which is your left and right. So using that to try and help get the cars all in check. But for you, what do you think the drivers currently on circuit, what you can see here, a lot of guys are slipping and sliding around right through the field, and you can see like Tini and Kube going and trying to keep Corne Strauss behind him. Corne is going to try to go around the outside. The 296 Ferrari, we do know, is very great in the dry, but trying to go underneath that. Lamborghini and contact between the two on the cutback. Miller coming by, having to take a deep breath. Oh, man. Miller has been like a cat with 9 lives at the moment for this race.
Indeed, Stephen, indeed. Very tough battles going on. Everyone wants to race to prove a point and to get a point. Any extra points in the championship would help them. Not great for the next season if it stays like this. But yeah, everyone is hungry.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely awesome to see. And I was saying that we don't have Cameron de Bastos in the box because the prof is doing some work. He's doing some coding work. But supporting the teams out there, you're supporting your fellow friends and your fellow drivers like Alan Patterson, Kieran Patterson, who is fighting it out with Bernard Barkhuizen at the moment. Lots of concerns, though, coming to the McLaren camp. The guys unsure that this would be the car that's really needed to push its way up to the front in terms of the wet conditions. But dry conditions, we have seen Kieran really push the car a little bit harder. What's your feel between the mid-engines and the front engine, especially with more of a hybridized setup?
To be honest, Stephen, I haven't driven lately the mid-engine of the McLaren yet. What I can say from the Lambo at the time, it's a very different character compared to the Porsche. So the setup wise, you have to nail it on the head, you know, to perfection, you know, for the Porsche. So the mid-engine cars, it's very difficult as well, just to get the balance in of the car and the rotation.
Fair enough, fair enough. And yeah, in a strategy situation like this, when is going to be the best time to pit? We've now hit 36 minutes left of the race. Do you feel the early pit stops are going to benefit, or do you think the later pit stops are going to be the ones to keep an eye out for, especially in the case of Bernard Barkhuizen, Kieran Patterson, Bagar Probler, Cabello Matamai, Grant Sebastian, Alan Patterson, who's running up in 6th, might I add, Jean Rebuerta, Darren Miller, and Corne Strauss. Oh no, it does look like Cabello and Bago had a coming together of minds. Let's go back about 30 seconds. Cabello trying to go on the inside of Bago Krobler, though. Bago braking a fraction earlier. Cabello trying to get close to him. Does brake a little bit earlier, a little bit later that time around. You could see just really slamming the nose into the ground. Bago getting on the power. That Aston looking very twitchy under braking and acceleration. There's a little bit of rearward contact. Very easy to do through that little chicane. We do know that because it just concertinas everything a lot quicker. But now Jean Rebuerta, who's taken up the opportunity to get past Cabello Matamai, and he will have to try and figure it out. But your take onto the pit stops at the moment, because like Tinian Kube is down into 18th position. He is currently leading out everyone that has done a pit stop. Your feels on this?
I don't think that's actually a good strategy. You're going to be in traffic the whole way through, and it's very close racing. So to follow the pack would be the better option. Stay with the car ahead, do exactly what the car in front of you does, and get the perfect pit stop in to undercut the driver in front of you. So if you know you're quicker, get an overtake done quick and easy. And then if you're not and you know that you can follow the car behind, get it in the pit stops. Follow the car in the pit stops and get it right. Just get it perfectly to overtake.
All right, now Eric Kirstein with a serious amount of damage to their front end is not going to be too happy getting a bit of repair work. But out in first place, a bit of a battle going on. Bernard Barkhuizen and Kieran Patterson. So you are saying follow the pack. Now these two are literally the front of the pack. Undercut, overcut, what do you think is going to work? Both drivers know each other very well. Both drivers are pushing incredibly hard. Both drivers have an opportunity to act or react to a situation. And from your standpoint, I know we're talking about your teammates, and obviously you want to go a little bit of favoritism to Kieran, but Bernard Barkhuizen has got a bit of a track record at the moment of really putting his foot down. So these two are not hanging around. They're wearing those tires out. Hungaroring, synonymous for destroying tires, because it is a very technical circuit, very hard braking, very harsh on the fronts. And this time it looks like the rears are taking the most impact because of the setups. Do you think Kieran Patterson will have to go and hit the pits a little bit earlier, try and do an earlier pit stop, then undercut Bernard Barkhuizen? Do you think maybe the overcut will be a more advantage? Because at the moment they're running nearly the same lap times. Both lap times on last lap were 1:44.255 for Bernard Barkhuizen and 1:44.210 for Kieran Patterson.
Yeah, Stephen, I don't think the undercut will be as powerful as it usually is. When you do your pit stop, you're going to have cold tires, so you won't have the grip to catch up to the car ahead because you're going to have colder tires. The 1 liter fuel pit stop is at least 32 seconds long. So to anticipate for that, you need to build up a big gap so that you can stay out of traffic and to make up the time if you need to undercut.
So it's going to be an interesting one indeed. So Tinian Kube has done his pit stop. He's done and dusted. Gavin Skroton has done his pit stop. Hunty Myberg has done his pit stop. New driver Dave Urun is to tell us he's just joined.
Paolo Tellez, yes.
Paolo Tellez. Paolo out there having a great run and a good showing. He is in 20th position, so a little bit out of his depth at the moment, but as an AM driver is putting a huge fight into it. Jaco Kutze has done his pit stop. Eric Kirstein has done his pit stop. So back end of the field has done their pit stop, but also a nice little battle going on is Mario and Ultimate Buerta, Bentley Porsche type style.
Yeah, sorry. If I understand, that is Paulo's first RaceFace race, and we got Josh Herbs as well in 13th position, also his first RaceFace race. So shout out to them as well. They for joining us and keep it on the track. But Mario Senegal and Altman Buerta with the Bentley and the Porsche. I'm favor for the Porsche at the moment. The Porsche got extremely good rotation and exit corner speed as well.
Now, see, we got yellow flags, and that is for Mario going and getting himself twisted around, so he's trying to get himself back out and going. Was fighting with Altman Buerta. I think he hooked the marbles, and that was pretty much that. Corne Strauss pulling into the pits. He's in 9th position. And
long time no see, Corne.
So Corne going and making his return, and is first of the top 10 to actually pull into the pits, and that is going to change up the ball game a little bit and have guys keeping a very close eye on that situation. As a driver, you will be monitoring where he's coming through. As a pit boss, you will be monitoring where he's going to end out. But good to see some returning drivers, some returning names to the world of sim racing, because we have been seeing some fall out of sim racing, others coming back after some time, you know, finally getting the opportunity to get back behind the steering. How does it feel from your side getting to run against, well, names you know, Josh Herbst, you went and pointed out, debut race in RaceFace, yes. Then Paolo as well. And maybe you
Josh
can give us...
Herbst has the one that gave me the pedals. So yeah, we are still busy working on the pedals.
Okay, all right. So Josh, so maybe there we go. So Josh just was it a Black Friday sale, 70% off?
By the looks of it.
Well, I mean, can you give us a bit of history of you know, Paolo and the likes of Josh, of where they actually came from? It's new names to the field. It's new, great little bit of discussions of where were they racing, where they come from, or what were they racing beforehand.
As I understand it, I've met Josh through RaceFace Discord on the sales group, and I found out he lives nearby me, so, and I got in contact with him and everything. We had a chat. He showed me his rig, that he was playing iRacing and everything, and I've explained to him that I'm on the RaceFace League in the Pro Division and doing fairly well and everything, and I've shown him what I'm capable of. He has joined on the stream quite a few times when I raced. And yeah, and then Paolo, I think, is dating his sister, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So yeah, so and they also work together. So that's I've maybe hooked them into RaceFace here, but.
All right, so a bit of interesting chats there, and good to see it. One person that's trying to carve his way through the field, and that's Eric Kirstein, who had a bit of damage earlier on. Now he is a blue flag, trying to get past LaRue. So Eric Kirstein's down in 21st position.
That will be the problem. That's the traffic that I was speaking about, that you get if you put early to try to do the undercut.
Now, he did have some damage to the front end of that car, but he cannot interfere with LaRue at the moment, as LaRue is trying to get away from Reginald, who is fighting out. So Jean LaRue, trying to keep his pace up, is keeping a very close eye on Reginald, who's sitting behind Eric Kirstein. Looks like he has relaxed off the throttle. So Reginald just taking a little bit easier. He's going to let Kirstein try and figure his way through. In this case, now, I know from my racing, when I do it, and you got a faster car trying to make his way through a blue flag, I tend to let them by and use them like a wrecking ball to try and make their way through. That they go and properly try and figure out what they can do and how they can get around one another. I let the guy essentially be the wrecking ball, open up the gap and go follow. But when you have got a car that is 1 to 2 seconds right onto the back of you, your thoughts onto that? Is it the right way to just lift off the throttle, let the guy past, or do you think that maybe putting in the fight would be a good one?
Steven, I think it's all about respect for each other. If you know what your race is, then it's up to the drivers to decide.
Fair enough, fair enough. Sorry, I just finished having a Scary Stumpy chocolate milkshake. That is... it's been 3 months of waiting, and I finally got my Stereo Stumpy. It's great, absolutely awesome. Yeah. Waited all the way for a sale to have a chocolate milkshake that I've been bragging about. Alan Patterson dealing with Cabello Matamai at the moment, both of them in the Pro-Am division. Cabello has been putting on a great show in terms of pace. He is a really, really quick driver. Alan Patterson has been a very consistent driver. And now from this type of situation, you're fighting for position. What wear and tear can you expect on the cars? As Cabello is hunting left and right, he's constantly moving, which means he's increasing the amount of friction on those tires. And does look like he's losing a bit of time. Alan Patterson's last lap time was a 1:46.9. Cabello's a 1:44. Do you think it's worth Cabello pulling into the pits this point round just to try and allow a little bit of breathing room and come back fighting? Or do you think keep the pressure on to Alan Patterson and hope to try and get past?
I think keep the pressure on and see what everyone is made of. You know, like I said earlier, everyone is fighting for a point and to gain positions in the championship. We'll just see. I think Alan is more conservative of his tires and trying to save it and to get more data for tomorrow's race and so on. And then I think Cabello is pushing it to see how far and how quick the tires will burn out.
Okay, so just trying to work his way up the order. Just push it as hard as you can and see what happens. As side by side is LaRue dealing with Kirstein, who gets past. Kirstein just setting it up on the inside. Side by side battle between Altman Buerta and Tini Nkube. The Lamborghini battling it out with the big Bentley, able to stop dead on the apex. Buerta going and saying, fine, you won that fight, but I'm going to try and get you. Josh Herbst pulling into the pits. And, well, I'm looking at the comments, and I'm gonna try something. And you know what? I'm gonna try and do it just because you're here, Daniel. And it's, the hitman can tell me if I've got this horribly wrong. So if I do go missing...
You've got this horribly wrong.
Yeah, if I do go missing, don't ask any questions, but that's because the hitman has kind of sorted me out. But Daniel going and saying, ek was by Mike gewees, hy balles mooi skoen gemaak en alles, sal net kyk, nou val... I got that one wrong.
I was typing a bit too fast there.
Yeah, so, I got that horribly wrong, but I'm guessing Daniel just giving a bit of insight onto how everything has gone. Bago Krobler getting past Grant Sebastian, Grant moving up, Bernard Barkhuizen pulling into the pits, and there goes the pit board. Someone killed Kenny. I always call the cones Kenny.
The problem is with that pit board, I think it's just in the way of the first positions box, and then if you get out, you're gonna hit it. Unfortunately, I don't think there's anything you can do to try and avoid that.
Now, I've got a question. That's telling you when to get off the pit limiter. Do you think it's going to affect the drivers? We do know there's a painted white line on the track itself, but Kenny's gone flying. Do you think that's going to affect people? Maybe getting off a limiter a little bit too early?
I think so, and I also think there might be a little delay there as well. As we see a stop go 30 for Josh Herbst, as well for corner cutting by the looks of it.
Yeah, so Josh Herbst getting himself a little bit of knock as well. Not getting as much pace out of the corner as he would like to, so he's just trying to take it a little bit easy. That essentially made it a two-stop race for him. Corne Strauss having a battle with Paolo. Paolo looking inside, outside, trying to figure it out. Two Ferrari 296s. Paolo getting a little bit squirrely on the exit, on the power a little bit too early. That slip coming in. And now the tires starting to wear and tear big time as they carve their way through. But Paolo is taking the fight to Corne, and these two, if I remember, haven't actually duked it out with one another. As you said, they're a bit of a debut race for Paolo here in RaceFace.Pro, but I don't think in all the racing that Paolo and Corne Strauss have actually gone toe-to-toe with one another.
No, I don't think so, Stephen. Corne Strauss was way up the grid for qualifying and grid position, so this is the first come together they had now.
Okay, and Corne with a bit of a history from not only iRacing but also in the world of ACC has done really well. Kieran Patterson running out a little bit wide, going and catching onto the dirt, so he's pushing as hard as he can. He's got Bago up into second place. Now we've seen Bago's usual tactics has been trying to go for as late of a pit stop as possible. And now with that being said, as I see yellow flags, it's Mario who's gone and spun it out again. That is out by turn 4. Very easy to do if you run out too wide. But do you think Bago's usual strategy of pitting as late as possible going to be a viable strategy, considering Bernard Barkhuizen has exited the pits and is in 6th place, only 3 seconds behind Alan Patterson, and is getting closer to the likes of Cabello Matsumai and Grant Sebastian, who are taking the fight to one another? Do you think that maybe the pit stops are now going to become a factor between the drivers?
Yes, indeed, Stephen. I think Barkhuizen did pit a little bit too early, but maybe he ran lower fuel just to get ahead on position when I was on the grid as well, because I think he knows that Porsche's got very good start at the beginning and corner exits. So I think Bernard did anticipate to battle against me and Kieran, so maybe he was light fueled at the start. So, but he is in traffic and it's going to cost him a bit time behind all the traffic, so I think Kieran will take the lead here if he keeps it clean.
All right, well, the stop in the box was 14.2, so 14.2 seconds for Bernard Barkhuizen. Interesting to take a look at how fast he was in the pits. Usually we've seen, Winter talked about 31, 32 seconds. He was actually in and out in 29 seconds. So he was properly right on that limiter and was very, very quick into the pits, very quick out of the pits, going and taking at least 1 to 2 seconds out of quite a few drivers. Gavin Scruton, the 29.2. So a couple of drivers able to get on the button just that little bit early, the reaction time coming into play. Does that make a crucial difference in a race like this, where you've got to try and get some heat back into those tires before hard braking into turn 1, which is so close, to have that extra 1 second in the pocket just exiting the pits? Or do you think rather be that little bit safer, cautious, not to go and land up with a penalty approach of just wait that extra second before you come off the button?
Yeah, you know, Stephen, rather safe than sorry. It's a life lesson, so rather safe than sorry.
Alright, as LaRue onto the back of Graham Mole, looks up on the inside, couldn't get it all sorted out. That 296 really hunting down the Team Kerygma Racing Porsche, and we've seen Graham Mole go and take a lot of pressure, Mr. Darth Maul himself, but we've also seen Darth Maul be his own demise. Sometimes the hubris of being that very defensive driver and being a bit of a brick wall does land up with a problem. We've seen LaRue also put an immense amount of pressure on drivers. LaRue did have a little bit of a coming together earlier on, so taking a little bit more of a cautious approach to it on the attack. You can see just giving enough room not to get too involved, but just maintaining the pressure on Graham Mole. Runs out very wide though, and I'm sure that will be Jim in his ear saying, listen, watch track limits at this point, because that was a little bit much. We'll get the drive down the straight, hard onto the brakes, into turn 1, into the hairpin. This reminds me so much of Nürburgring GP circuit, the Nürburgring, where you've got to climb so hard onto the anchors and then try and open that steering up quite quickly to get the drive out. So what's your thoughts onto it, and what do you think is the trickiest part of the circuit for the drivers out there? I mean, you've been around it, you did qualifying in the rain, and you know the circuit rather well. Which is the corners that you feel is going to be make it or break it for a lot of these drivers? We do know that turn 4 has been the break it for Mario at this point.
Yes, indeed, Stephen. I think the make and break corner should be turn 1, as you get the slipstream and dive into turn 1 to make the pass. And if you don't do it and you get contact, it's easy to get spun around there and lose a lot of positions there.
Alright, so as we see Alan Patterson, he is defending like his life depends on it, with Bernard Barkhuizen trying to look up the inside. Alan going to be doing a little bit of a helping hand here. He's going to fight it out. He can fight it out because it is for position, but knowing full well he still needs to do a pit stop. Bernard Barkhuizen, on the other hand, has so much to lose. He knows exactly what's going on, but Alan's not going to make it easy into turn 1. Going to try and go back at him. Doesn't look like he's got the drive, but has done enough that Bernard Barkhuizen has lost some serious time, and that will be cutting into it. It's helpful to have your team out there to back you up, but at the same time, if you're a driver that gets into this type of situation where you've got you know that teammates are out on the circuit, do you think Bernard Barkhuizen was feeling a bit of sweat trying to figure out how to get past? Do you think the little voice in the back of the head saying, there's a problem here, there's teams that are talking to one another, I'm solo and I know where I have to be, but yet I've got a guy that's willing to defend the honor of PWSR, but at the same time, he is in the right for defending his position.
Indeed, Stephen. I think with today's country's temperatures, everyone is sweating tonight. I know, yeah, where I am, it's very hot tonight, and as well in Georgia and up there in the Free State and so on, it's very hot today. And so I think everyone is sweating, getting fans in their heads here to cool themselves down and try to keep the focus onto the track, as it is very easy to lose focus on this track. The one small mistake can cost you dearly.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a thing like that is just, yeah, when you have a teammate out there that can defend, it's does make a bit of a difference. As we see Hunty Myberg, he's getting himself going. A couple of guys have done multiple stops. So Hunty is still going. He hasn't fallen off the circuit as yet. His drives have been a little bit rough.
There with the commentators, because then Kieran with the stop go 30. Oh no! Oh no!
He just did his pit stop. He did his pit stop.
Can we go back 30 seconds maybe?
Let's go back and let's go in car. Was Kenny the problem? Was it excitement? Gets going. There's the line.
Maybe it should be entry.
It would have been entry because that looked okay. But 30-second stop-go penalty. Oh man, that is gutting. That is properly gutting. So maybe, as you said, just a little bit too fast into the entry. We do know that that pit entry is a rather quick right-hander where you're carrying on the power, but the cutoff line is so close, it does catch you out. But at this point, that stop-go 30-second penalty is going to play into Bernard Barkhuizen's hand, but Kieran Patterson can still go for second place, if not higher. Now, yes, we talk about commentators' curse being a real thing. I totally agree with that. But if Kieran can keep up the positive pace at the moment, as he's doing onto the back of Bago Krobler, he can still walk away with enough points to claw his way through. He is going to get that stop-go penalty done and dusted rather quickly. And there is... Got to hit the brakes. Just, you can see that car getting a little bit of a twitch, but Cabello moving himself up into second place. Bago Krobler will not be too perturbed at the moment. Grant Sebastian coming across the line. 14 minutes to go. Stop-go 30-second penalty. Not quite what you want to deal with. And from a driver's perspective, how do you take a penalty like that and just put it to the back of your mind and say, right, I need to focus on the charge of what's going on at the moment? How do you get into that mind frame? Because that is one of the most frustrating things, and there's nothing else you can say except, you know, you were the only one going in there.
A lot of beeping words.
A lot of beeping words. Okay, the clutch pedal that isn't connected gets a fair amount of abuse as well.
Indeed.
Okay. Fair enough. But you know, he's got a chance now. He's behind, but that does give Alan Patterson a little bit of a chance to go after Bernard Barkhuizen. Bernard is a second behind Grant Sebastian. So currently, net first place does go to Bernard Barkhuizen. Kieran Patterson is dropping down the order. Tinian Kuber coming across the line. Graham Moll coming across the line. Kieran still serving that penalty. Is going to be waiting with frustration and anticipation to get back out onto the circuit.
I don't think he's moving again, Stephen?
No. No, he is not. Kieran, I think... Oh boy. I think frustrations have come through, and like what we've seen in NASCAR, WEC, and many more, that the drivers have just to take a breather. Go and have an ice cream. Especially in this heat. Go and have an ice cream, climb out the car. But that is going to affect the points, so maybe he can get himself going. I don't see the pit countdown timer going on his car, so maybe there's something a little bit more going on with that as well. Well, that is going to change things out, and that's going to throw him down the order. Jean-Ray Britt saying a bit of a drink of a chocolate milkshake. Consistency is the only solution for a stop-go penalty. Well, that's very true. It does come to it. But Kieran Patterson, yeah, it looks like something has gone on with that because not even the timer is going. So maybe something more has gone on with the Patterson car. But if so, we do know he will be keeping an eye on the fellow PWSR cars because that's what you got to do at this point. You got to focus on the team aspect of keep each other pushing. Eric Kirstein onto the back of Hansi Myberg, the team Try Hard versus Hybrid Academy, and Hybrid Academy was originally the sister team that was just kind of there and thereabouts of Team Try Hard, and Eric Kirstein getting past the likes of Hansi Myberg, going and fighting his way through. I mean, Eric Kirstein's pushing as hard as he can. I do think Hansi did give him a bit of room there, knowing that Eric is a little bit quicker. Doesn't want to fight it out too much. He's going to let the guy go. But Hansi Myberg has done 2 pit stops. Bear that in mind. He has gone into the pits twice, and that is going to drop him down the order. So, bit of a change out as it goes through. So, Bego Krobler out in first place. Bernard Barkhuizen in second. Grant Sebastian in third. Alan Patterson in fourth. Jean-Ray Buerta, Darren Miller is in sixth place. Seventh place is Jean Leroux. Tenny and Kube in eighth. Ninth is Cabello Matsumai. 10th is Graham Moll. Gavin Scruton in 11th position. Rob van der Heever out there. He's in 12th and chasing Gavin Scruton as much as possible. Reginald Mutleni going and fighting for the Noob Nation. He's out in 13th, followed by Eric Kirstein, Hansi Myberg, Altman Buerta. Kieran Patterson still stopped in the box. Corne Strauss is stopped in the box as well. He's been there for quite some time. Mario going to be coming across the line. He will be passing everyone, moves himself into 17th. 18th does go to Paolo. So a couple of cars not out on the circuit due to various issues, but I can tell you who's first place in my heart, and that is the Hitman, who's currently in the box with me, despite the frustration of pedals. And I take my hat off. I would have turned off my computer, gone and watched the TV show, carried on drinking the Steri Stumpy at that point, realizing it. But thank you very much for being in the commentary box. But out there to our spectators that have been watching this and seeing everything unfold with 9 minutes and 14 seconds to go, I've got to ask, Daniel, did you ever expect a race like this where it's just evolved into, well, something completely different?
To be honest, Stephen, I've never thought it'll be ever this close to the different classes and different drivers and the BOP system that we have currently running. It's phenomenal. It's great. It's good to see this close action, and I hope it brings more spectators in and more races in, some races to compete back in the RaceFace series.
Well, that's, for everyone that doesn't know what a BOP system is and what it actually does to the car, I mean, if you're a petrol head, you will know about it as we see Cabello Matsumai onto the back of Tini and Kuba, the Lamborghini, that V10 trying to break away from the mighty V8, gets an almighty snap out of the corner, but still able to get just enough pace. A quick rundown from a driver's perspective to the spectators. What is going to be a quick explanation of what a BOP is?
Well, the BOP system is balance of performance. So what we do, or what the owner of the RaceFace does, he puts on weight for different types of cars to balance the performance out of each cars, and he takes weight out of some cars to also keep it balanced, to keep it a nice fighting chance for every car and equal performance as possible to compete against each other.
And when we talk about putting weights in the car, we're talking about kilos of weights that can go from an infant, a child, to an adult sitting in your passenger seat. It's just this big piece of lead that gets shoved into the GT3s on the passenger side.
I think in your case there, Stephen, it's a lot of steri stumpies, and for Paul Fenter, if he was still racing, it would have been a lot of tequilas.
A lot of cactus Jack, you know, the wrestler, sort of going with it. I don't need a balance of performance. I carry my own ballast with me, and that's why I like single seaters, because I can keep it nice and close to the the chest. Alan Patterson out in moving up into third place at the moment, with John Ray Buerta trying to close down. A couple of things going into the chat, guys, saying the fight that was happening between Barkhazen and Kieran Patterson was quite a monstrous fight, and the two were going hammer and tongs at one another. Then you've had Bago trying to get a little bit more pace. He did fall off the train and land up with a bit of a problem there. But that stop-go 30-second penalty just going and changing up the entire race for it, and Sujin going and saying, or Sunjin busy saying, like, it would have been such a finish to see these two duke it out, but not this time around. Ooh, a bit of a nasty bit of damage to that Ferrari. So let's go and see what a prancing horse looks like when it decides it wants to be a pug. And Paolo trying to get himself going. And did he make the front look as bad as the rear? As it snaps out, tries to catch it, and ow. Okay. Yep, didn't catch the corner of it. He decided, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it properly and just break the car properly.
I can hear Charles Leclerc on Azerbaijan when he hit the wall there, and he says to himself, I'm stupid.
that just that little bit of getting on the power a fraction too early, but it does look like Ultimate Buerta, as Tim the cameraman is panning the shot, trying to see if he can find him, but it does look like the big Bentley also getting that rotation and losing out. So the tires starting to snap out on these guys right towards the end of the race, as Buerta in the big old Bentley. You can hear the Queen cheering on from beyond, getting the snap and realizing that the king has taken the throne, and instead of racing for the Queen, he's going to just try and get it all going. And I'm sure the king on the throne will be looking at this going, well, at least he's pointing in a direction, while the Queen is going, come on, you need to get going. And I'm talking about the dear Queen that has unfortunately has passed on. I'm not talking about the current princess.
Yes, Steven, just give me a minute. I'll be back now.
No problem, as you, Daniel de Villiers is going to be taking a look. So Cameron Abastos saying, I just call the ballast that is added my beer pins going and coming in. Yeah, no, it's definitely takes a lot out of the race. It's going to be proper bit of fun. Honestly, it's going to be an interesting one. Bago Krobler trying to make his way through the Aston Martin, going and figuring out where it's going to go. Bernard Barkhazen chasing him down in the big almighty BMW and trying to close down. Alan Patterson in third place is up the road, 1.5 seconds ahead of Jean-Ray Buerta. Now, bit of a switcheroo round. If he keeps an eye on Grant Sebastian, he may be able to get ahead of Grant Sebastian. He pulls it into the pits, so Alan Patterson's in the pits. Jean-Ray Buerta going and also pulling into the pits, reacting to the situation, saying, if you could do this, I can do this better. And pulls in behind. Alan Patterson now getting himself going. Miller will be keeping on the power and launching his way through, so Darren Miller moving up into third place, going to be smiling on that one. Grant Sebastian trying to make his way around, will also be taking his way into fourth position. So, two cars needing to pull in the pits. Bago Krobler and Darren Miller with only 3 minutes and 7 seconds left of the race. It is all or nothing. It is a race down to the wire. And we do see Rob van Heerden coming out of the pits. Alan Patterson also in the background there. Beautiful shot of seeing the cars leaving out here at Hungaroring. I've got to say, don't thoroughly enjoy the circuit. Not my go-to. Oh, Paolo with a drive through. Yep, that is going to be for track limits. The stop-go 30-second, I think, was for the pits. And, oh, man, that's just gutting. Absolutely gutting for his time out. But lying in 18th position, that drive-through is going to take a little bit out of him. but he can keep on the drive. This will be his 3rd time entering pit lane. Josh Herbst coming across the line, trying to get past, will be keeping up the pressure. He has got Altman Boertsma right behind him. Josh Herbst, though, has gone into the pits 4 times. So a bit of a race on between those two of who can get in the pits more often than not and fight their way through. So 2 minutes and 4 seconds left of this race. Cameron de Bastos going and saying a bit of dark humor coming out. Yes, because we do have load shedding in the area, so, you know, it does happen. Bernard Barkhuizen comes across the line. Bagel Krobler now into the pits with 1 minute and 49 seconds. Darren Miller trying to make his way into the pits as well. That will allow Grant Sebastian to inherit 2nd and 3rd place if he can get close enough. And that is a big, big if at the moment as Bagel Krobler just going into the box. No, he's actually pulling out of the box, so he is going to try and hold it. And Darren Miller still searching for his box. Grant Sebastian getting on the power. The big Mercedes sliding its way through, trying to get a little bit more drive underneath him. Knows that he's got to give it everything he's got. He's going to close down on Bago Krobler, get the jump on Miller right to the end. But the very late pit stops that have come into play, Bago Krobler actually getting it working out for once. Now trying to make his way through. Don't count out Alan Patterson because Alan does have an opportunity right now to go for 3rd place. So I know Daniel de Villiers has stepped away at the moment and Cameron de Bastos is currently watching the prof going and watching his teammates, but I'm sure both of them have jumped into the Discord and saying, Alan, you best go and get your pedal to the metal. You best put that straight to the floor. And I'm going to give you that extra 30% that my throttle pedal didn't have, so you can get 30% more acceleration out of the car, get a little bit more top end to chase down. You have an opportunity to put it on the podium this evening. Graham Moll trying to break away from Gavin Scouton, who is closing up behind him. So Graham Moll now needing to move his way up. Bernard Barkhuizen, though, will be coming across the line, and I believe this... Yep, Jim going and saying this is the final lap. So Jim shouting out, Tim the cameraman keeping a very close eye on it. And yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, Tim the cameraman, some say he was the original RoboCop. Others say he is the T-1000. Bet you didn't know that. But
all we know is he will be back.
He will be back. He will be back. Much like a Scream film or much like Friday the 13th, it will just be a reoccurring thing for years to come. Or it will be, you know, Tim will come back more and more that you can start calling and nicknaming him Skyrim at the moment. Jean-Ray Buerta onto the back of Alan Patterson. That Porsche having some serious drive. Looks to get up on the inside. Launches past Alan without an issue. Buerta getting a lot of pace underneath him. Alan, though, now losing out that 4th place and is not putting a lot of throttle down. Is there something going on?
Does he have enough fuel?
Let's try and hear as he gets on the power.
Can we see the dashboard by any chance?
He is very, very... well, we don't get to see the numbers, but listening to that acceleration...
He's on a different engine map. He's on fuel saving.
Because he's definitely not accelerating. That is very, very laboured at this moment. And Alan Patterson, who was in it for a fight... does look like he's fuel saving, but coming across the line, Bernard Barkhuizen taking 1st place. Bago Krobler will be taking 2nd place. Grant Sebastian taking 3rd. Jean-Ray Buerta going and launching himself into 4th place. Alan Patterson trying to just nurse the car at the moment to maintain 5th position. He is really trying to do everything he can, but Miller is seeing a very wounded Lamborghini at the moment. Will be trying to close down, and I know all's fair in love and war, but if Miller goes and gets past Patterson before the line, which I don't think he's going to do, as Alan is limping. 2nd gear.
There. He's out of fuel there.
Out of fuel.
He's
And the line is a bit far. Miller comes past. Miller.
And just gets past Cabello Motamai.
So Cabello just finishing behind Alan Patterson, but Miller with the hijack of the century to the team principal at the end. Gonna be an interesting one there. I think whoever filled up the car is going to be in a little bit of trouble. Cabello Matamai in 7th. 8th is Jean Leroux. Tini and Kubek. Graham Moll comes across the line in 10th. Gavin Scruton in 11th. 12th, Reginald Mutuleni. Eric Kirstein. Hansi Myberg. Rob van der Hever. Altman Buerta. Mario Circle along with Paolo Tillers. Josh Herbs. Kieran Patterson. Jaco Kutzer. Conrad Fulskink. And also yourself unable to get your way to the line. But honestly, did not expect that right to the end. And well, let's head to a break, and well, let's go back to a track preview. But my heavens, okay. Well, Daniels is kind of left the building at this point. He's going to find out. And saying congratulations on what's going on. Cameron Bastos going and taking a bit of a look there, saying low fuel coming into it, and debrief is going to be very awkward between them. But let's actually go and take a look at a bit of a highlights. Well, we recap tonight's events that have really changed it out. Daniel De Villiers off to a great start in second place, going side by side with Bernard Barkhuizen for the start. Kieran Patterson tried getting a bit of an early run, and Paul Fenter, who started out on wet tires, gets himself turned around, and fortunate enough, he's able to just get back without too much incident, but having to retire the car. But Kieran Patterson down, and Daniel De Villiers going and swapping around. Grant Sebastian having a great run out, but well, that pretty much changed the ball game. Bernard Barkhuizen taking the win overall in a tremendous effort. Vega Krobler with a late pit stop that, well, got him to the line, and well done to him for that. We don't usually see it working out the way it did. I'm lost for words on that one. Properly lost for words. Couple of good battles going that happened. Jaco Kutzer along with Jean Leroux also taking the fight to Altman Buertma. They were on a proper little charge between the two of them. Some contacts were made this evening. A little bit of paint shuffling, but with these hybridized setups built for both rain and dry. And as we see, Miller taking a late lunge to Jaco and just giving him a bit of a paint swap before getting on the way. Not too much of a problem there, but good to see some new names coming out to the grid, and others having a bit of a problem. Kieran Patterson, that stop-go 30-second penalty pretty much took him out the race, and retiring the car. Grant Sebastian and Bego Krobler working their way around, likes of Daniel De Villiers, who has only had 70% throttle at that point. I'm a little bit taken back, but I'm going to say that we're bringing back the Noddy Badge Award, and there's two guys that go for it. One, Alan Patterson, who short fueled and ran out of fuel right before the line, or Noddy Badge Award nominee does go to the likes of Paul Pinky Toe Fenter, who decided that he was going to race on wet weather tires, and found out that didn't quite work out so well. So I'm going to leave it to you guys out there in the grandstands to decide who scores the Noddy Badge Award tonight. Let us know in the comments. Let us know all the way through, and when we get an idea of who it is, we'll announce it at the next GT3 Sprint Series race. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Absolutely tremendous stuff to have you guys around and out there to all spectators. Big thank you to all the teams, drivers, spectators, family members, everyone joining through. We managed to hit our massive milestone this year of 1,000. Can we go more? Well, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon, leave a like as well, and also let us know in the comments, who do you think won the 90 Badge Award tonight? Will it be They're running out of fuel, starting on wet weather tires. Will it be going and getting some sideways moments? Well, you guys will be the judge of fact on that one for the RaceFace GT3 Sprint Series. Round 5 done and dusted. Come and catch us tomorrow as we head on to Hungaroring for another fantastic run of our RaceFace GT3 Series Season 16, where it's going to be 1 hour and 20 minutes. It is also going to be 2 mandatory pit stops that need to be done and dusted on this very difficult circuit, and drivers having to really go back to the drawing board with the conditions being so odd this time round, with rain and with dry both appearing on the same time. It does remind me, if I go back to an earlier time where we had spontaneous rain at the start of a race at a certain British track, and I think, Cameron, you can help me out on this one, because it was one of your favorite circuits where we had spontaneous rain and then it dried up and then it rained again and then it dried up again. Well, reminds me of that, getting some earlier in the year vibes, but you guys let us know out in the comments. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon, leave us a like, and we'll see you next time right here at RaceFace.Pro. And like always, from myself, Stephen Koenig, I'm going to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.